All right, well, let's get started. I'm Ryan Herbst. I'm Chief Strategist with UnifiedCommunications.com, and I would like to welcome you to a very special online event focused on enabling at-home and hybrid contact center agents for success using Jabra devices and Jabra AI, and AI in general. So I'm joined today by Vern Fernandez, who is Senior Business Development and Strategic Alliance Manager with Jabra. And Vern, we've known each other for a very long time. It's great to see you. And I'm so glad you were able to join us to discuss a topic that's really important and timely. And so, yeah, just wanted to give you a moment to introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about your role at Jabra before we jump in.
Well, thank you very much, Ryan, for inviting me to be here. And yes, we have known each other for a long time, and it's definitely been over a decade. It might be close to two, but I think we both started the job when we were 15 or something. But
Of course.
but yes, I work for Jabra here. I've been here for 10 years now, and I've been in the headset industry for over 20 years. And so what I want to be able to do is just kind of share some insight with you in terms of how we see things changing, you know, kind of post-pandemic and going forward, because a lot of things are now kind of permanent in this situation. So we'll tell you from our perspective what's going on.
Awesome. Well, just a little bit of housekeeping. Want to remind everyone that you can ask questions, and we've dedicated some time to answer questions the last 10 to 15 minutes of this event. Just use the LinkedIn comments for your questions, and yeah, feel free to start chatting, submitting them now. Again, just using LinkedIn comments attached to the event. I know some of you are enjoying a lunch courtesy of Jabra. Big thanks, Vern, for sponsoring this for qualified attendees. This was for a limited number of folks that were business users and in the U.S. over a certain quantity of employees, and but very much appreciated. And
Yep.
yeah, I'll just the contact center is really changing, and I think prior to the pandemic there was a lot of change over the last 5 years, and certainly post-pandemic we're really in a new era filled with both a lot of opportunity and certainly some challenges. And so I have a ton of questions for you and can't wait to
Great.
hear about some of Jabra's innovation. And so, yeah, I thought let's just kind of dive in. And to start, just wanted to maybe hear from you at a high level, how Jabra's view of how the hybrid contact center has changed, post pandemic.
Sure. Thanks, Ryan. And what I'm going to do is I let Ryan know that I'm going to be kind of rotating between talking to you and then showing some pictures here in terms of how we view things. But in general, I think the role of the hybrid agent, we talk to a lot of different customers about what they're actually doing. Do I keep them at home? When do I bring them in? What do I need to set up at home? But we also start to talk about different things around, well, what does that mean for agent morale? What does that mean for supervisors? What does that mean for corporate culture? How do I provide some sort of visibility into that area? Do I consider gamification as part of this these days? How do I make it fun? How do I make my analytics not just big brotherish, but something there's something in it for the agent too. So what I want to be able to do is I'm going to show you just a quick picture here about how we see this, and tell me when you can see this here. And this is just a picture of the way that Jabra sees contact centers in general. So you'll see our funnel here on the left. You'll see a multi-experience platforms that can be any vendor that you're choosing. You'll see the investment of agents here. You'll see workforce automation, and then there's again analytics and gamification. The idea being that the customer calls in and you've created this engine of artificial intelligence, or it might be your IVR, your chats, or you're considering shopping for all sorts of things in here. Ideally here in the middle, some of that might take over, solve the problem before it even gets to an agent, and that's always great. But when it gets to the agent, when we think about this agent and what's happening with this hybrid agent, there's got to be a win for that agent in terms of the device that they wear. It's got to be comfortable. It's got to sound good to them. It's got to cancel noise for the customer so the customer has a good experience. But I think the biggest difference now is that there's got to be a win for AI as well. all of you are shopping, different things to put in here for the environment. And one thing that's become really clear is that voice quality here at the agent level drives the engine and the data needed for other things that you're shopping. So that's something that about what we're looking at with the market in terms of it's got to be a win for AI. No sense buying 300 grand worth of licensing for speech to text if you don't get good data feeding that. Okay, so that's one point that I wanted to make here, Ryan, just for starters.
No, makes total sense. What uh, I guess thinking about like the voice of the customer these days, um, what does that look like? Again, in this kind of post-pandemic world, this hybrid world, and what does the agent want in order to do their job better to support that customer?
Yeah, so we take polls of both customers and of agents every couple years just to see, how are things moving? What do they need from us? And when you take a look at what's going on with customers, um, I think customers, they want you to meet them where they're at. In terms of your contact center, they want you to meet them in chat. They want them to meet you in email or through texting or social media to be able to support them from a customer experience. We're even hearing that people want to meet in the metaverse somewhere to try new clothes on, or try makeup on and things like that. So I've been definitely in some conversations about where the customer wants to meet you and what kinds of experience they want. Now, to me, what the agent wants, when we take a look at what the agent wants, they want one, to be able to find good technology to be able to do their job, because they truly want to help people, but they don't want any detractors getting in their way. They don't want technology to be an issue. They don't want the they don't want to be, they also want some freedom too, right? That's changed about the agents. When we polled them, they want to spend 3.2 days at home now. Now, back in the day when you were talking about contact centers, agents might shift over to a different contact center for $1 or $2 more in what they got paid. Then it became, maybe it's the kind of environment that I'm working in, the product that I'm selling, and things like that. Now it's almost a given that, offering some sort of freedom to kind of work in between will help with things like agent retention, right? Now, not every call center is going to do that because of security concerns, whatever, and we get that. But I do think that that's changed about the agent.
Makes sense. I guess, speaking of creating flexible environments, and that agent's desire to use technology that kind of gets out of the way and supports what they're trying to do. And what type of headsets? I guess certainly Jabra is in the headset business. What type of headsets are contact centers using to create these kind of flexible environments?
Yeah, so we understand that there are both corded and wireless options. We see situations where a corded headset is issued and then an agent starts to look on social media online saying, I got this corded headset, but I really want to be wireless. What's the best one to do, to do? What they're looking for is, it's got to sound good to me here. It's got to be light enough on my head so that I can wear this for 8 hours. And it's also got to have, most importantly, I think, a microphone here that can cancel out noise. That's actually a really big deal. Agents at home have doorbells and dogs, and they go off at the same time, or there's landscapers in their yard, or there's sirens going by. And everybody knows it. What that sounds like.
Yeah. I want to kind of drill into this a little bit more, because you're
Yeah.
right. I think certainly post-pandemic, we're with a lot more work-at-home agents. We're all
Yeah.
experiencing this in our personal life. I get I get a grin on my face when the roosters crow, but I know for some organizations, it's not for them. So yeah, I guess yeah, and it's kids and it's doorbells and it's dogs and it's this whole new kind of universe of sound coming into our calls as we've left the brick and mortar contact center.
Mm-hmm.
What can a headset really do here? And I know, certainly headsets have always had kind of basic, noise canceling. This is not a new concept, But what's kind of more modern, yeah, kind of how has this evolved from from a device and a service perspective, to do some more valuable kind of mitigation of some of this, and to even understand if it's happening, I guess, in our environment.
Yeah, I think what one of the things that we've done to really help in this situation is that we've made the headsets digital, both the corded and the wireless headsets. There's a certain amount of intelligence that you can get from these chipsets. So, for instance, the chipset in my headset that I'm wearing can reduce noise, and in some of our really good ones, by about 36 decibels. So if you think about what that means, that's like 82 decibels going down to about 40 or something, which is like a quiet library. And I'll give you a sample of what that really means. But not only do you need to cancel the noise, you also have to let the agent know that the noise is being canceled. Otherwise, they mute a lot, right? The doorbell rings, the dog starts barking, and you start muting 5 times. But what if your headset could actually handle all that noise? I could save you just 5 minutes there, or five seconds there, not even counting how many times the agent has to repeat themselves. So I do want to play you a real quick
Yeah, we'd love to hear that. I think this
video
is
here
at the top
about
of the list for certainly for a lot of contact centers in terms of yeah, things that and I think in terms of differentiation for yeah, from a device perspective, this is a big one.
this is very
Yeah.
key. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play you a couple of noise cancellation tests. The first one is with dogs and kids. And this is actually using a wireless headset, the one that I'm using right now, which is Engage 65 or 75. Here we go. You can hear that, right, Ryan?
I can.
I'm currently speaking to you using a microphone on my computer while my kids and the dog are making noise behind me. This happens a lot when I work from home.
I have now switched to my Engage 75 that has advanced noise cancelling for crystal clear calls. This means it doesn't matter how loud the kids and Buddy want to bark when I'm working from home. I'm always going to be able to communicate clearly and effectively.
Okay, now what's going on in that video? There's a lot going on there, right, Ryan?
That's a wild crew, but not unlike many of our kids.
Not unlike anybody else here.
Right.
And now if we think about that and what's going on here, I think of that situation as, wow, that's just real for all of us. But I also think about that in terms of time. If she didn't have the right headset, she would have definitely muted 5 times there, minimum. Or she might have just...
And she would have taken some time to probably scream at the kids and
all that.
Yeah.
But I look at that as data going into the engine, the top of the funnel of that contact center. If you were doing sentiment analysis, if you were doing speech to text, if you were pushing agent assist apps using voice bots on the data from your headset, you just couldn't do any of that, right? So that's where, whenever we take a look at this, there's got to be a win for AI by getting the right headset.
Yeah, no, yeah, picture or video speaks 1,000 words in this one, and that's super cool. And so I guess is that technology, is that just sitting in the device? Does that require any type of underlying service behind it, or is this is all at the device, and just as part of purchase a Jabra device, and this is going to automatically happen, or what do I need to do to experience that?
Yeah, so in the Jabra line, when you get to know the Jabra line, our Engage series of headsets are really the ones purpose made for contact centers, and we purpose make them based on servicing agents. So they're going to sound good, they're going to cancel the most noise out of our entire line of headsets. They're going to be the lightest ones there. So that comes in the digital chipsets here with the headsets. Now what we do is, in addition to creating data just by pure voice, we can also pull different types of data from the headset. I can tell you how loud it is in the room. I can tell you how many times the agent might mute because of it. And with that data, we can create things like real-time coaches that pop up for the agent that say, it's loud, but you don't need to worry about it. So what I'll do is I'll share my screen again, just so that you can see what this looks like for the agent. And if we take a look at this, you'll see that to reflect my point here, the headsets will have the digital chipset inside of here, and we can do things like take the decibel levels or figure out who's talking. Is it the agent, customer, crosstalk, or silence? Or we can, understand how many times they mute or press a programmable button here. We can even tell the agent that the boom is in the wrong place. You need to move it to the right place, right? What we do is we take data from the actual headset and we create things like this. Here, we create little widgets here. This is called Jabra Engage Plus. This comes with our Engage 40 and 50 Mark II headsets, where you can see, hey, the background noise is high. It's detected, but don't worry, background noise is canceled. Because for me as a Jabra person, I know what my headset can do, how loud I can work. I know that I can work in a coffee shop, right? But your average agent doesn't. They start muting. So what we do is we give you the intelligence from the headset to save you time right here. And the ROI in 5 seconds is big for a contact center. Now with this data coming from the chipset, now you can see, okay, I've got a 5-minute call here, but I can tell you real-time guidance on that, on the microphone placement. I can tell you if there's background noise. I can coach around that, the mute times and things like that. So certain things that we build in the headset that's purpose-built are things based on what we survey agents in terms of them wanting for a professional tool, right? So I'm going to stop sharing here and we can discuss that a little bit more.
No, it's super interesting. So I guess this idea of pulling analytics and pulling telemetry data out of a session, and then feeding that back to agent to help them do their job and ultimately impact the customer experience in a positive way, is really exciting kind of territory. And so, this is super exciting stuff. And maybe talk. Where do you see this going? I guess beyond what you're doing now.
I think one of the things that we have to realize is that, you have to look under the hood when it comes to headsets now. If I can talk about some of the things that we see customers doing, when you had all the agents in brick and mortar back in the day, and there was no hybrid agent at the time, you spent a lot of money on mitigating noise, from the cubes you chose to the panel on the wall, the white noise generators that you drop from the ceiling. All that has a cost in facilities. And what we're really doing is we're taking all that and putting it in the headset so that wherever that agent wants to work, they have what you need as a contact center to provide for for that good noise cancellation or for visibility into what they're doing, and things like that. So, and as you can tell, with the amount of noise cancellation you have, that woman in that video can literally work pretty much anywhere. That the flexibility that gives to an agent.
Yeah, this is not moderate background noise. This gets into the pretty extreme territory.
It is.
Yeah.
So to us, agent retention also relies on flexibility, and we like to think that we camouflage agents where they want to work and where they need to work sometimes, or where you need them to work, right?
Backing up for a second on some of the analytics and telemetry and just some of the data that we can get about the noise. I know we've had this conversation previously, but maybe you can kind of share for the audience, what can we learn about the rooster? Is it can we tell how far away the noise is? Can we tell if the rooster's the next door neighbors or in the house with me? I mean, how what can you do with some of that? Because I think it can be really valuable just to understand some of the challenges within our calls.
Right. So, for instance, because we can show you the decibel levels coming from our headsets, there are some customers and some even third-party providers using that metric to kind of find out where noise is in the contact center, right? If there are roosters at a certain time in a certain country at 6 in the morning going off, and you can see average channel times going up, and you can see kind of the noise going up at the same time. Do I want to route my calls around that, right? That's new information that the headset can get you. We also see people using the same metric to keep their outsourcers accountable, right? I just hired out 300 agents somewhere in the world to support me in different languages, but how loud is it where those agents sit, and are they really representing the voice of the brand, or are people calling in and just hearing all this noise? So you're absolutely right that our headsets have to pass the rooster test, or has, the chicken test in some countries, right? So it is important to know what your headset can handle, both from an IT administrator standpoint along with the agent standpoint.
Super interesting and powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess shifting gears, gamification, big topic in the contact center. Maybe talk about gamification. You mentioned kind of a bit of the real-time coaching, but how Jabra is integrating into this kind of gamification world. What are you kind of doing to help kind of make this more fun, and how does the device kind of fit into that story?
Yeah, one of the things is as much as we can give you data now, on actually, what is being pulled from our headset, there are some people that are putting that same data on Six Sigma dashboards just to run some BI on it, and then using the BI, business intelligence, they'll create games out of it. So for instance, I'll show you this slide right here, and what this slide does is it's going to kind of illustrate just kind of where you can put the data, right? And then what I'll do is I'll show you where we can gamify that. Now here, you'll see that you can take data from the headset, or there are third parties that are taking data from the headset, and they're putting it aside to your other KPIs and metrics like first call resolution, average channel times, net promoter score, things like that. And they're looking to see what happens at the edge. So if mute times go up and crosstalk goes up, which are data points that you can get from our headset. So here you see mute times and crosstalk going up. You can see correlations to average channel time and some of how the metrics and SLAs change. Now, granted, there's a lot of things in a contact center that affect that, right? But what we do is we allow, access to this data in a very open environment, so you can start to gamify that. So once you see the data here in a sheet, now you can do things like this, where, I already showed you the widget, kind of, not necessarily gamifying, but using a widget just to show the agent that, hey, here's how you can save time. But I can do things like take lights on the side of a headset in a brick and mortar situation, and I can push things like average channel time that typically in a game you would go green, yellow, and red, and push it to the headset itself to show, okay, who's doing well on average channel times today, who's doing well on NPS. Now, we don't necessarily make these games, but we provide the data for the game makers out there to do things like create competition on the floor using lights on the side of the headset, right? So whereas here you're seeing agent status just to show what's going on with the agent, I can make these colors mean anything to a game. And so we have integrators right now that instead of these statuses here, they'll say, okay, well, the green means like you've got a Model T avatar, or red means that you've got a Ferrari avatar, and the more you level up,
yeah, whoever's got the most green this week gets
exactly
half a day off next week, and yeah, so that's going to certainly motivate me as I look next door and see that winter green light going off. Yeah.
Right. So you can gamify things like decibel levels. If you're above 65 decibel levels consistently, then you don't get as many points in the game. Those kinds of things can happen.
Really interesting. Yeah, this is. It's an exciting space, and man, I guess the days of the days of the simple contact center, are, in terms of not, it just doesn't seem possible to be competitive these days without leveraging, some of these sophisticated tools. It's just you can't do it.
What a lot of people used to do is, if you think back to my funnel, they would design themselves this multi-million-dollar contact center, or even if you didn't spend that much, and they would allow any headset to be on the bottom of that funnel, right? That's like putting a wagon wheel on a Ferrari, right, and expecting it to roll. You just don't want to do that, because there's so much unpredictability in the wild west of headsets because people just order anything from anywhere, and you don't always get good noise cancellation, or sometimes you get people even using earbuds or things that just don't cancel noise, right? So gaining some control over that, seeing the assets in play, understanding how they drive the rest of your engine, that's a revealing thought to a lot of people who've always seen headsets as being dumb, you know? And what I'm really trying to do is unravel 50 years of what you thought a headset could do.
Yeah, there's no question.
Yeah.
Looking forward, I guess, as we try to put on the crystal ball, 12 to 18 months, let's say, looking out. What do you see as some of the kind of most important trends, and what should we be paying attention to? What are some of the developments that are brewing in the space?
So if I look at contact centers, I'm seeing a lot of contact center technology as I go to the conferences. Everything from conversational AI to the type of AI and natural language AI that you're not even sure if you're talking to a robot, right? I mean, sometimes they really fool you. And I think that's all really great to take a look at, to meet people where they want to, or to leverage technology to take the easy questions away that most customers have. But there's one thing that I think that none of that technology can do, and that's to emit the sort of passion that a customer representative or an agent can actually have for your brand, right? To really be emotional and have sentiment about your brand, because you can go through all the different channels in an omni-channel contact center, but there's something that robots still can't do. I think there's going to be that going on, and I also think that all this technology, you know, when I talk to agents, they're just like, take the easy stuff away from me. I don't want the repetitive stuff. Make it a good challenge for me, and let me help the customer in ways that the technology can't, because that's fulfilling for me.
Yeah,
and to me,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and then I'll let you jump in here. But to me, I think agents are one of your best resources. They know the most about your product. You can put them in HR, you can put them in marketing, you can put them in sales, and be a real training and proving ground for them to do other things and solve more complex issues the way that they do on the phone. They can start doing that in your organization as well.
Yeah, no, it's certainly interesting, and I know this is not a new trend, but it seems like this is going to continue to be the case. That as the AI and as all the kind of simple problems begin to get handled by by automation, by intelligence, this is a different type of agent that we're looking for. Right? This takes ability to deal with complex and subjective and challenging, and that's somebody that we're really going to work hard to retain once we have them and get them trained. And so it's an interesting world for sure. So I'll tell you, and tell me before we take some audience questions. We've got some folks that have chatted in. Anything else that you wanted to share before we do?
Yeah, what I want to do is I want to kind of expand on what we just went into in terms of the next 12 to 18 months. Most people know us as a device company, and Jabra has just entered into kind of the QA area of this by providing our own sentiment analysis tool that are basically tone-based. So one of the things that when we take a look at, where things are hard to measure, I'll show this slide to you as well here, and this will be the last one before we kind of take questions here. But here you'll see that when I take a look at contact centers and KPIs, on the left, you see things that are commonly measured, right? Net Promoter Score, customer effort scores, AHT, FCR, customer satisfaction. On the right side, you'll see what matters as well. Are our agents engaged? Are they speaking with passion? Are they speaking with good tone? How happy is the customer over the course of the call? And what's the conversation experience like? And there is a difference in terms of how we say things over what we say. And I'm hoping that you're getting kind of my sentiment about what we're doing, because I'm very passionate about what we do. And what's really hard in the industry is to see this happening in real time, right? A lot of times when you take a look at sentiment analysis and try to get customer insight, it's after the fact. Maybe speech to text picked up what was said during the meeting, and then you or you do call recording at the end of the day or at the end of the week, and you try to find coaching opportunities. But what's tough is that as that issue was happening, could we have solved it? Could we have barged in? Could we have coached or asked the agent if they needed help? One of the things that we're doing here is we've come up with a little widget here, and I'll just show it to you real quick, and then we can talk about it. And it runs real time on a person's desk, and we can make it very small as well, just taking up a corner. And it's open to kind of put, it in a single pane of glass wherever you want that to do. But what I'm going to do is play you two instances of the same thing being said, but in different ways. What I want you to do is watch this avatar here. I'll keep my hand on it right there. And it's going to change colors to green and yellow based on what was being said. And that's a real-time understanding of sentiment that can be a personal coach for an agent. So here we go.
Not actually hearing it yet.
Oh, that may be because I didn't share sound. So let me try that again.
No worries.
So you can get the full effect. That was my. Here we go here. That way everybody can hear this. Okay, I'm going to play that again for you again. Now, here we go.
Thanks so much. You've been super helpful today. Thanks so much. You've been super helpful today. Wow, that's unbelievable. Are you serious? Wow, that's unbelievable. Are you serious?
Did you hear the difference there, Ryan?
I did.
Okay, good. So what our tool is doing is, I will show this to you in real time here. Just get to this so that you can see what's going on. There is a real-time tool that I have that can essentially show what's going on during the call, right? And then you can get data based on that conversation to see how it's going, take a look at your teams, and when you take a look at the widget in general, it's something that's super useful in understanding the tone of voice that people have during the calls. So I'll stop sharing at this point in time and see if you have any questions around that, because that's a whole new area that we're going off into with Jabra here.
Yeah, just I guess in terms of when and what, and so this is new, exciting territory, and certainly, yeah, I think we've known that Jabra is more than just the device for a while, and that there's a lot of power built into the device. But this, yeah, I guess in terms of this offering, when will it be available? Yeah, what can you tell us about how we can gain access to this?
Yeah, it's out on the market today as of September 15th, and we can help you explore that from an end user perspective, and kind of show you what it can do and some of the problems that it addresses. And really what we're going after is real-time coaching for the agent. We're also taking a look at, can the agent self-correct in real time too? And just by taking a look at the widget, that allows them to fix things before they become problems.
Really exciting. All right. Well, let's shift gears and talk a little bit about, let's take some audience questions.
Sure.
So just looking through some of our chat, and if we don't get to everyone, we can reply to some of this afterward in comments. Excuse me. And this may be related to your headset. Marcel asking, does it come with a dongle that you can just plug into the computer?
Yes. So the Engage 55 from Jabra includes a decked dongle. Now, the decked dongle is very important as a piece of technology because should the agents go back into a building, decked really is the frequency that can handle wireless density, right? Having a bunch of wireless headsets in the same place. The other thing that's great about the Engage 55 is that the deck dongle allows certain call center features. So if you want to pass through whisper tones and zip tones through it because you have queue calls coming in, you can do that with a couple settings in that headset. You can also pair 4 headsets to that dongle so that you could do side-by-side training in the contact center. So yes, the Engage 55 with our deck dongle would be your choice.
Great. Excuse me. Monique shared that I'm an older person and I want to have tech that's not going to change and be obsolete, quickly. I conduct online therapy and need additional means for privacy and confidentiality.
Yeah. So one thing that, if you take care of a headset, they'll last a long time. We've seen that, Ryan. I've seen headsets last over 7 to 10 years, especially the corded ones, right? So we have some newer headsets that came out. We have some of our legacy headsets that have come out. And like our newest ones are the Engage 40 and 50 Mark IIs. What we did on that one was we added a ringer to that so that you know that a call is coming in on the corded headset. But from a confidentiality standpoint, one of the things that I didn't really kind of mention here, but noise cancellation is actually a big deal when it comes to that, right? So if you're talking about medical issues with a person over here and you got another agent over here, you don't want to hear any bleed through on what's going on with a certain person. You don't want to hear any credit card information. So noise cancellation is not just good for the agent, but it's good for security as well. So hopefully that answers your question too.
Absolutely. What's the maximum distance you can walk away from the receiver and participants can still hear you clearly? I guess this would be on the wireless product coming from Marcel.
Right. So the Engage 55, 65, and 75 are our wireless products with the most amount of range. So on paper, it's 490 feet. And then you take a look at walls, you take a look at metal and things like that. I've gone out the street and walked and turned the corner because I'm not in a thick building, right? But you can get really good range. Now, the range on it also depends on how it's set as well. So for instance, if you have it set to long range, then you get longer range because there is a setting for that. There's a setting for short range. So understand that there's software involved where you can control the range. You can also do things like add more power by taking some capability away from other parts of the headset. So if I don't listen to music as much, I can take an extra channel or that battery life that's used, to make it play music better, and I can use that towards a little bit more range and distance and density. So there are things that you can do around that to get more range. So about 490 feet, give or take. Yeah.
Another question is around Engage AI. Does that come with a headset? Do you have to pay extra for it? How do you get it?
So Engage AI is a service by itself, independent of the headset. Now we do have some of the analytics that come in from our Engage 40 and 50 Mark II headsets, and these are new headsets from us as of September 15th. Some of the data from it can be seen within the app itself, but it can work on some of our older headsets like Biz 2300 or Biz 2400 or an Engage 65 like what I'm wearing. But it's most optimal with Engage 40 or 50 Mark II.
Great. Looks like we have answered our audience questions, and thank you so much, everybody, either those on this live event. Thank you for folks who are watching the rebroadcast. This gets automatically recorded via LinkedIn, and you can share this with others. And yeah, I guess we'll as we wrap up, Vern would like to thank you. It's always a pleasure. Again, we go way back, and this feels familiar and fun to get to spend some time with you.
Yeah.
And the team here at Unified Communications, this is what we're passionate about. One of the things we're offering to anybody who's watching this, if you would like a complimentary device strategy session to talk to a strategist about your contact center, about some of your challenges, about how devices could play a role in solving some of your challenges or helping you meet some of your goals, you can look for. We'll be posting information on how you gain access to this, and it would be our pleasure. Certainly, we can loop in folks like Vern and others into a conversation like that. So please don't hesitate to reach out. Again, hopefully you're seeing that. Yeah, there's a lot more to these devices than meets the eye, and that this is a very fast moving space. And certainly if you're in the contact center world and you want to be competitive and you want to thrive, you really need to pay attention to some of this new technology and to some of these trends. So yeah, please be on the lookout for this in our post event follow up. And yeah, Vern, any kind of last comments? I think we hit all the highlights, but anything that you wanted to talk about today we missed?
I think we did, but I do want to say props to unifiedcommunications.com. We have known each other for a long time, Ryan, and it's very good to be able to partner with you in the community. And we just don't want to be just a headset, right? We want to address the problems that the contact centers are having. So please bounce ideas off of both of us, and we will take it down to the agent level. We'll take it to the supervisor level. We will take care of the people that are involved in the contact center and the customers on the other end. We're very, very focused on the people involved. So thank you very much for having me, and would look forward to it again.
That sounds great. Well, with that, we will officially call this a wrap. Vern, great to see you.
You too.
Thanks,
Take care,
everyone.
all. Bye.